Good evening and thanks for clicking on to the Thursday edition of Vogan's European Outlook. We have got an interesting test case coming up. The timing of that will be a little bit subject to question, but the MJO is heading, according to the GFS ensemble anyway, heading back towards the null phase, which is a rather inactive phase, and then it's drifting into phases 7. The ECM model is indicating that it goes a little bit more amplified into that phase after fading slightly. So the big question mark is going to be in the day 10 to 15, if it drifts into phases 7, do we start to see something a little bit colder and somewhat of a weakening going on within the polar vortex? That's going to be the thing, because there is a distinct deceleration in the mean zonal winds at 10 HPA as we go towards the time frame of Christmas to New Year. You can see this sharp drop in the mean zonal wind from record strong close to average. What's causing that? And it might be the MJO shifting to phases 7, and consequently we see the warmth transfer up towards the Arctic, creating some of these wave breaks within the stratospheric polar circulation. This is something that we'll monitor as we go towards the Christmas New Year period here, but generally speaking, we're in an Atlantic-driven pattern at the moment. We've got surges of warmth ahead of lows. We've got cold surges coming south. A good example was driving up the A9 the night before last, and it was 12, 13 Celsius in the thermometer. Lossiemouth, for example, hit 15, and then the following morning there was snow-covered A9 at Drumoctor, and as well as that around the Dalwhinnie area. So basically within a 24-hour period, we went from very mild back to something more resembling winter. So these swings back and forward are going to continue as we go through probably the rest of this month, if I'm being quite honest. This is the upcoming 5 days. Now, I told you that the stratospheric polar vortex, but also the tropospheric polar vortex, was likely to tighten up. We're seeing the response at the 500 millibar level, so we're starting to see the low heights Baffin Straits, Greenland, up into the Arctic. We do have a lot of positives, if you notice, even within high latitudes here, and there has been a disconnect between the Strat and the Trop, where we've had a weaker tropospheric polar vortex. We're seeing another surge of Arctic air getting driven south into eastern North America. And also what's interesting is if you look at the snow depth chart of the Met Office model, you can see here that we, over highest ground, build snow over the next few days, then it disappears. So obviously we're seeing warmer temperatures ahead of a system, and then as we see the deep low that is going to pass to the north of the UK during the course of the weekend, that pushes east and we see a fairly sizable build-up of snow, and this would whet your appetite thinking, ooh, Sunday 22nd of December, significant amounts of high ground snow. Are we going to see a white Christmas? Unfortunately, with the next system building in, and that being an area of high pressure, milder flow, as well as we move towards the final days before Christmas, that actually almost wipes off the map, which indicates that we've got a surge of significantly mild air. Looking at the day 6 to 10, so this is the upcoming 5 days off the GFS ensemble. We've got ridging up the western side of North America. We've got a trough on the east coast. So therefore, we're drilling some Arctic air down into the eastern North American pattern. We've got an area of high pressure shifted, yes, to slightly over towards the just north of the Azores. We've got a trough over Europe, as you can see here, and a bit of northwesterly flow at the moment here. So this is the period between now and the 24th, which is obviously Christmas Eve. And then as we move towards the day 6 to 10, which incorporates the week between Christmas Day and essentially New Year's Day, we've got an anticyclonic area of high pressure over the UK, over Ireland. We've also got that over the northern portions of Canada, especially Hudson Bay, northern Quebec, for example. Low heights generally over Greenland, and generally over the Arctic region, we've got the low heights, as can be seen here. And then we move to the 11 to 15 day. It may get somewhat more interesting as we start to build heights further north over North America and also extending towards Greenland as well. Looking at the Arctic oscillation, you can see here that we are, where is it? Here we go. So generally, just above the neutral line at the moment, we take a slight dip, rise, then it looks as if we're seeing a bit of a decrease in the Arctic oscillation as we move towards the New Year period. So there is an interesting test coming up. As I've said, in the December forecast, a largely mild month with a potential for something colder towards Christmas and New Year. That looks as if that's not going to materialise. There was a smaller chance of that happening. I think, granted, given the strengthening of the PV, the rotation through the warm phases of the Magellan oscillation, December has generally played out. Yeah, you can pick out little details such as the increased chance of possible snow in the week between Christmas and New Year, etc., etc. And quite often I find that Christmas period can be on a knife edge. I've seen it quite a lot recently where you've got a very mild Christmas, but actually a sharp drop off in the Boxing Day. I've seen a very mild Christmas Day and it's steadily grown colder as Christmas days went on. Then we've had a white Boxing Day, and that has been the case as well. And that can sometimes kind of throw a wrench in the works in terms of trying to pinpoint a particular event for a particular time of the year. It's very, very difficult to do that. And we obviously live in a part of the world where it's very, very changeable. Looks as if high pressure is largely going to dominate. It's largely going to be a mild Christmas. Generally the Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and Boxing Day, I think it's going to be largely on the mild side. But it's going to be interesting, I think, as we move towards the New Year period and in through the first half of January, what happens with this Magellan oscillation. What we don't want to see if you're wanting cold, and I know there's people that do, and I know there's people that don't. I actually noticed a decrease in subscribers in the last few days, and I don't know if it's because it's something I've said or whether it's they don't like what I'm saying with regards to the mild situation. But I've noticed a few folk dropping off. But listen, there's a lot of hard work going on here in the background. I'm giving you the evidence to back up what I'm saying as well. I'm giving you the reasons why I think a certain type of pattern is going to take place. So please hit that subscribe button and hold that subscribe button. It would be much appreciated if you're enjoying the overall content. It's not just about cold weather or snow, but it's about the whole broad picture. And that is certainly something that I try to incorporate into these videos. Let's have a quick look at the upcoming temperature anomalies here. So we'll look at Europe, upcoming 5 days. We've obviously had a little taste of something colder in the past 24 hours or so, but generally speaking, it's milder than average through Christmas Eve with a little bit of fluctuation back and forward. Then look at this here, 6 to 10 day, firmly warmer than average. This is off the GFS ensemble, by the way, not the CFSV2. I think it was, given how warm that is. And then even into the period between 29th of December, 3rd of January, warmer than average. But we do have some cold lurking to the north here. And I'm wondering if there's something going on here with regards to MJO, stratospheric polar vortex, etc., etc. Lots of different dots to join up, and it can be a complex one. But you can see here the fluctuation in snow depth based on areas of low pressure passing to the north, and generally we've got the cold air that comes in the backside. Let's have a quick look and see what the latest wind gusts are, because we do have a potentially quite stormy upcoming weekend to come. Don't know if I've not checked Twitter to see if there's been a name given to this, but wouldn't surprise me. So we do have a frontal system that moves through during the course of Friday, wind, rain associated with that. We'll look at the overview chart in just a second. And then as we progress, this is off the Met Office model. See what the latest wind gusts are showing here. And still showing 100 miles an hour on that northwest coast of Scotland. We've got 90 mile per hour winds along the Butt of Lewis, for example. Widespread severe gales across the north here. This is 15Z on Saturday. And it looks as if it's largely confined to further north. Still 60 mile an hour winds through the central belt, if you notice here. And then along the spine of the Pennines here, we've got possibly 70 plus mile per hour winds, exposed areas of Wales, northwest England, around the coast of Ireland as well. We've got 50, 60, 70 mile per hour winds quite easily with this type of setup. But that is a very powerful wind core on the southern flank of the low. Let's have a look and see how strong that area of low pressure is projected to be. Let's look at the GFS model first. So there's that frontal system moving through during the course of tomorrow. Then the main frontal system associated with that low then pushes through during the course of early Saturday morning. Then you notice here a real pinch in the isobars indicating very powerful winds on the southern flank of that low here. It looks as if the pressure is around 961, 962 millibars, and we've got some very strong winds associated with this around about the 1500 UTC period on Saturday, and that is going to then blow through. Then we've got some pretty cold northwesterly winds, west-northwest winds on the backside of that, bringing some fairly heavy snowfall, I would imagine. Then we've got another little lift in the pressure field as higher pressure tries to build in. Another frontal system moves through, and it's generally quite a westerly flow, if you notice here. Then as we push towards the Christmas period, we've generally got southwesterly winds. That high actually centred slightly to the east means that we're pulling our air in from the southwest, and therefore it's going to be fairly mild here, and it looks as if it's going to maintain that way all the way through the majority of next week. That's according to the GFS model. Let's quickly look at the ECMWF, and then we'll end with that. And you can see here as we'll play it through. Let's see if I can update. We've got that frontal system that moves through. Then there's that area of low pressure then moving through. Again, very, very similar idea. Powerful winds, especially across northern UK, northern portions of Ireland as well. Cold air in the backside. We could see some decent amounts of hill snow associated with that as well. So that is the period late weekend and into the start of Christmas week. If we look at the 850s, you can see here that we've got some reasonable cold air on the backside of that. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday, and I'll see you tomorrow with more. Bye for now.